Welcome to Alternatify, the channel where we dive deep into the currents of history, exploring the fascinating what-ifs and could-have-beens that reshape our understanding of the past. Today, we confront a monumental question, one that echoes through centuries and across continents. What if Christopher Columbus's ships, the Nina, Pinta, and Santa Maria, never reached the Americas in 1492? This isn't just a simple historical footnote. It's a seemingly minor alteration with colossal, world-reshaping ripples. Imagine a world without the Columbian Exchange, a drastically altered transatlantic slave trade, and European empires that never looked westward. This journey invites us into a reality that is both familiar and utterly alien. It's the ultimate what-if feeling, magnified to encompass the entire course of human history. Our purpose in this exploration is to understand the intricate web of cause and effect, to grasp the fragility of the past, and to glimpse the infinite possibilities that lay just beyond the known. To truly appreciate the magnitude of Columbus's voyage, we must first understand the world he inhabited. The late 15th century in Europe was a crucible of change. The Renaissance was flourishing, the printing press was revolutionizing information, and powerful nation-states like Spain and Portugal were emerging. Portugal, in particular, was leading the maritime charge. Their navigators were meticulously charting routes around Africa, seeking a sea passage to the lucrative markets of the East. They established trading posts along the African coast, building an impressive network of commerce and exploration. Spain, newly unified after the Reconquista, was eager to compete. They sought to bypass Portugal's growing monopoly on eastern trade routes. It was into this ambitious climate that an Italian navigator named Christopher Columbus presented his audacious proposal, a westward route to Asia. Despite initial skepticism, he eventually secured the crucial support of Queen Isabella. It's important to note that educated people of the time already knew the Earth was round. The debate wasn't about its shape, but rather its size and the feasibility of such a westward journey. Now let us imagine the pivotal moment. Columbus's voyage fails. Perhaps a catastrophic storm claims his ships, or dwindling supplies force him to turn back, never sighting land. In this alternate timeline, the indigenous civilizations of the Americas continue their development in isolation. The Aztec, Inca, Maya, and countless other vibrant cultures would evolve without the devastating intrusion from across the Atlantic. There would be no European conquest, no exploitation of resources, and no brutal subjugation. Crucially, the most catastrophic impact of European arrival, disease, would be absent. Smallpox, measles, influenza, and other old-world pathogens would not decimate indigenous populations. These societies would likely thrive, maintaining their demographic strength and cultural continuity. The potential for growth among civilizations like the Aztec, Inca, and Maya is immense. They could continue their expansion, reaching new heights of development in art, science, and governance. Imagine the scientific and cultural secrets they might have unlocked, given centuries more of undisturbed progress. We can only speculate about their future. Perhaps they would develop their own unique technologies, forge new forms of governance, and establish vast, complex trade networks. We might see the rise of even larger empires or intricate alliances, shaping the continent in ways we can barely conceive. It's important to acknowledge that pre-Columbian Americas were not without internal conflicts or challenges. However, their evolution would have occurred on their own terms, free from the brutal, genocidal colonialism that historically unfolded. This would be a world where indigenous peoples remained the masters of their own destiny. Without the discovery of the Americas, Europe's trajectory would be profoundly different. There would be no influx of gold and silver from the New World, which historically fueled European economies and wars. This absence would significantly alter wealth distribution and economic power dynamics across the continent. The focus of European colonial ambition would shift dramatically. Instead of looking westward, the intensified race for colonies would concentrate on Asia and Africa. This could lead to different power dynamics and conflicts, perhaps accelerating or altering the scramble for Africa by centuries. The development of industrial capitalism might proceed at a much slower pace. The vast resources and captive markets of the Americas were crucial catalysts for Europe's economic transformation. Without them, different social and economic inequalities would emerge, shaped by a different set of global interactions. Perhaps one of the most significant changes would be to the transatlantic slave trade. Without the demand for labor in the non-existent American colonies, this horrific institution would be significantly reduced or even eliminated. The course of human rights and racial dynamics would be irrevocably altered. Even the religious landscape of Europe would be different. Missionary efforts would be redirected, and the internal religious conflicts that plagued the continent might play out in entirely new ways, without the distraction or resources provided by a new world. The absence of Columbus's voyage means the absence of the Columbian Exchange. This monumental exchange of plants, animals and diseases between the old and new worlds would simply not occur. The consequences for global agriculture, cuisine and health would be profound and far-reaching. Imagine global food production without staples like potatoes, tomatoes, corn or chocolate, all originating from the Americas. Our culinary landscape would be unrecognizable, and the diets of billions would be fundamentally different. The world's population might have grown at a different rate or in different regions without these caloric powerhouses. Global trade routes would continue to be dominated by the spice trade, the Silk Road, and established Eastern networks. The centers of economic influence would remain firmly rooted in Asia and the Middle East, rather than shifting towards the Atlantic. Europe's rise to global dominance would be far from assured. Technological development in Europe might also take a different course. With their focus shifted away from transatlantic navigation and conquest, European innovators might concentrate on different advancements. Perhaps naval technology would evolve differently, or other innovations would take precedence. Finally, the global population itself would have a vastly different distribution. Without the decimation of indigenous populations in the Americas, and without the introduction of American crops to other continents, demographic patterns would be entirely reshaped. The world would be a more populous and perhaps more diverse place in many regions. So, in this alternate reality, the Americas would flourish, their civilizations evolving on their own terms. Europe would follow a different trajectory, its ambitions redirected, its economic and social structures reshaped. And the rest of the world would experience a global reshaping, untouched by the profound impacts of the Columbian Exchange. This thought experiment reveals a world of infinite possibilities, highlighting the fragility of the past and the immense impact of seemingly small events. It underscores how a single point of divergence can unravel the entire tapestry of history, weaving a new and unfamiliar design. Alternative history is more than just a game of what if. It's a powerful tool for understanding the present, for dissecting the complex web of cause and effect that has led us to where we are today. It allows us to appreciate the contingency of our own reality. What are your thoughts on this scenario? How do you imagine the Americas, Europe, or the world would have developed without Columbus's arrival? Share your own historical what-ifs in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into an alternate past, please give this video a like, subscribe to Alternatify for more thought-provoking content, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an exploration. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep imagining the world that could have been.